He is alone on top of a cliff. The Japanese army has turned into a slaughterhouse, and he does not have a single weapon in his hands. Every other American soldier who could still walk has already gone back down the rope. Below him, the wounded are still screaming. Above him, machine guns are still firing, and the only thing standing between those men and the bottom of that cliff is a 26-year-old medic who swore years earlier that he would never touch a gun. By the time the sun comes up, one number is going to follow this man for the rest of his life. Nobody yet knows what that number is, not even him. To understand how an unarmed man ends up as the last American left on that ridge, you have to go back to a small house in Lynchburg, Virginia, more than 2 decades earlier. Desmond Doss grew up Seventh-day Adventist in a home where 2 rules were treated as absolute: never work on the Sabbath, and never, under any circumstance, take up a weapon against another human being. A commandment Desmond took so literally that as a teenager, he couldn't bring himself to finish killing a snake his father had already wounded. That boy grew into a man who, when the draft came for him in 1942, did something almost nobody expected. He didn't ask for an exemption. He enlisted. Desmond wanted to serve as a combat medic, inside the war, not safely outside of it. The Army had no real category for what he was asking for. Soldiers who refuse to fight are usually assigned to non-combat labor, far from the front. Desmond refused that too. He wanted to be exactly where the fighting was worst, just without a rifle in his hands. His unit did not welcome him. Fellow soldiers mocked him openly, called him a coward to his face, and some admitted later they slept believing this man would get them all killed. Officers tried to have him discharged as mentally unfit. He was nearly court-martialed simply for refusing to carry a weapon during training. Desmond didn't fight back with words. He just kept showing up. By the time his division reached the Pacific, something had already started to shift. In the brutal jungle fighting on Guam, and then Leyte, Desmond crawled into gunfire again and again to drag wounded men to safety, treating them with nothing but bandages, morphine, and steady hands. The men who had mocked him started asking quietly to have him nearby before every assault. His own company commander, Captain Jack Glover, had tried more than once to have Desmond transferred out before those campaigns even began, convinced an unarmed man in his unit was a liability nobody could afford. According to accounts from soldiers who served alongside them, Glover changed his position entirely after watching Desmond work under fire, and later personally recommended him for a Bronze Star. Respect built slowly. It would take one impossible night to turn that respect into legend. That night came in May of 1945 on the island of Okinawa, at a jagged rock face nearly 400 feet tall that soldiers had started calling Hacksaw Ridge. To take the plateau above it, American troops had to climb cargo nets up a sheer cliff face directly into Japanese fire from tunnels, caves, and fortified positions hidden across the ridge. Wave after wave of soldiers made it to the top only to be cut apart. On the day it mattered most, the company was thrown back off the plateau entirely, leaving dozens of wounded men stranded at the top, exposed, bleeding, and completely cut off from help. Desmond Doss climbed back up, alone. For the rest of that night, while the rest of his company held the base of the cliff, Desmond crawled from man to man, across open ground, still swept by enemy fire, dragging the wounded to the edge of the escarpment, one at a time. He tied a simple knot he had learned as a boy, looped it under each man's arms, and lowered them down the rock face to safety, foot by foot, by hand. Then he climbed back up for the next one. Soldiers who survived that night later said they heard him repeating the same quiet prayer between every trip into the dark. Lord, help me get one more. He kept going until there was no one left to carry. If the idea of an unarmed medic climbing back into gunfire, alone, again and again, all night long, already has you gripping something, hit that like button. It tells me these are exactly the stories worth telling. Tell me in the comments which detail stopped you, and if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a good time. Now stay with me, because what happened when the Army tried to count how many lives he'd actually saved is almost as strange as the night itself. When officers later tried to tally the rescues, the number that came back was 100. Desmond, hearing it, refused to accept that figure. That couldn't be, he reportedly said, certain the real count was lower, uncomfortable with a number that big attached to his name. In the end, the Army split the difference between his estimate and theirs. The Medal of Honor citation that would carry his name into history states a number that is, if anything, modest. 75 men, alone, in a single night, by a man who had sworn never to carry a weapon. Hacksaw Ridge was not the end of his war. Weeks later, during fighting near Shuri, a grenade landed near Desmond and tore 17 pieces of shrapnel into his legs. He waited 5 hours before litter bearers could reach him. As they finally carried him out, he spotted another soldier more critically wounded than himself and rolled off the stretcher to give up his place. Crawling nearly 300 yards on his own toward the rear, he was hit again, this time by a sniper's bullet that shattered his arm. He splinted it himself with a rifle stock he found on the ground and kept crawling. On October 12, 1945, President Harry Truman placed the Medal of Honor around Desmond Doss's neck at the White House. He remains the only conscientious objector in American history to receive that medal for actions taken directly in combat. The man his own unit once tried to have discharged as unfit for service left the war as one of its most decorated soldiers without ever firing a single shot. Somewhere on a cliff in Okinawa, 75 men went home to families who exist today because one man refused a weapon and refused to leave. If you want more stories like this one, real, forgotten, hidden in the details the official version leaves out, watch the video that's on your screen right now. Here on It Sounds Like Fiction. But it's history. There's always one more secret waiting.